In today's video, I want to talk about a new PlayStation 5 feature being officially revealed, and that is including a power-saving feature to tackle climate change. Yes, a lot to dissect here. I know it's not the feature that, is gonna have everybody talking about. It's gonna be revolutionizing to the gaming industry or anything like that. It's not a major exclusive announcement, but it is something pretty cool, and I do want to talk about that. They put a blog post out, and it's rather interesting all the same, and hey, they're trying to do the world some good. So can you really hate on that all too much? Also, a new Batman game is something that I think a lot of gamers have wanted for a long time. Well, Batman Court of Owls, a game from Warner Brothers Montreal, has been all but confirmed by Batman writer Scott Snyder. We'll talk all about that. And also, I want to highlight a brand new game coming from the developers of Oxenfree and Night School Studios, and that is Afterparty. That's out on October 29th, and it's a game that hardly anyone is talking about, but I loved Oxenfree, and I think that game has a ton of potential. So first up, let's talk all about this new feature that has been revealed for the PlayStation 5. In a blog post, Sony announced it's working with the United Nations as part of its Playing for the Planet initiative, which aims to mobilize gamers to take an active role in combating climate change. Part of this effort involves partnered companies like PlayStation examining ways they can reduce their carbon footprint, and Sony is committed to working substantial features into its new console design. They specifically noted the next generation PlayStation console will include the possibility to suspend gameplay with much lower power consumption than PlayStation 4, which we estimate can be achieved at around 0.5 watts. If just 1 million users enable this feature, it would save equivalent to the average electricity use of 1,000 US homes. Now, maybe you're thinking 1 million users enabling this feature sounds like a lot. Well, the PlayStation 4 has sold tens upon tens of millions of consoles, and let's say if 50% of them enable this feature, well then yeah, you're saving a lot doing that. Now, let's just say we're working on a base of 90 million PlayStation 4s. Not all of those PlayStation 4s are active right now, but you get the idea. There's a lot of potential for a lot of savings here, so that's pretty cool. And they added, for context, we estimate the carbon emissions we have avoided to date already amount to almost 16 million metric tons, increasing to 29 million metric tons over the course of the next 10 years, which equals the CO2 emissions for the nation of Denmark in 2017. All of this, by the way, is coming from Jim Ryan, president and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. He rounded out by saying the gaming community is diverse and growing at a fast pace. There is an undeniable opportunity for leaders in the games industry to take a stand and support the UN Environment Team by communicating the importance of preserving natural resources for generations to come. Again, I think that this is gonna go under the radar to many. However, all of these interesting features being announced for the PlayStation 5, I find it compelling all the same, because the PlayStation 5 is gonna be an incredibly powerful console, so for them to do something to actually save power, I think that's a great initiative. And if this ultimately means that we'll get a quieter console and things like that, that would obviously be fantastic as well. But nonetheless, that is all just speculation at this point, and I do want to read the last bit of this statement because it does paint something positive for the future of PlayStation. They noted, at PlayStation, we believe games have the power to ignite social change through educating people, invoking emotions, and inspiring hope. We could not be more proud to be a part of the Playing for the Planet Alliance and the commitments announced. We look forward to seeing what the industry can achieve together, considering sometimes video games in general get a bad rap for games like Grand Theft Auto 5 being a negative influence and games with a lot of shooting or whatever the case may be. It's nice to see that we could also get some positive implications and some positive ramifications from video games as a whole, and I think that's what PlayStation and Sony are trying to go for with this. Nonetheless, I'm happy about it, even though it's not that core PS5 feature that all of you are probably looking forward to. It's an interesting feature nonetheless. Alright, moving on from that, I for a long time have wanted to know what Rocksteady Games has been working on. Obviously, they're the guys that are best known for the Batman Arkham games, and while it doesn't seem like we're ever gonna hear about their game, I mean, I've been waiting for years to hear about their next project, it does seem like Warner Brothers Montreal are gonna take up the helm of Batman titles, as Scott Snyder, writer on the recent Batman comics, has seemingly all but confirmed a new Batman Court of Owls game from Warner Brothers Montreal. Warner Brothers Games Montreal tweeted out this, at Warner Brothers Games Montreal is proud to celebrate Batman's 80th anniversary with the rest of the world during hashtag Batman Day, hashtag Batman 80. Scott Snyder, on the other hand, took to Twitter, noting that tweet and also saying, wait for it, ... hashtag beware the Court of Owls. Now, you don't do teases like that unless this is coming to fruition and developing into something. You don't want to get people's hopes up, and we had already been indicated that some sort of Batman game was in development, and the notion was it was going to be a Court of Owls game. If you guys aren't aware, the Court of Owls is an organized crime group and secret society. They have secret secretly existed since colonial times in Gotham City. The court kidnaps child performers from the circus only to train and transform them into their assassins known as Talons, which first appear in Batman #2, that was back in 2011. And as a part of the 2015 to 2016 Robin War storyline, the Court of Owls had expanded internationally and is referred to as the Parliament of Owls. So it'll be interesting to see how the game covers Court of Owls. Whatever the case may be, if it's following in suit with Batman Arkham and utilizing that gameplay style and exploration style, there is a lot of potential to be had with that. And also, State of Play is tomorrow. I know that the main focus is The Last of Us Part 2, but how great would the reveal of a new Batman title be in the Batman Court of Owls title? They did note that outside of The Last of Us Part 2 showcase, there are gonna be game reveals, so it's not just gonna be The Last of Us Part 2, there are gonna be other games there, and something like this being there I think makes a ton of sense. Do I think this is gonna be a game released in 2019? Absolutely not, but maybe it's a title to add on to that packed early 2020 period, as I don't think a game would be announced this early on scheduled for a next generation release, but that's my 2 cents. And it does seem like Batman Court of Owls is a game that's been in development for quite a long time, so I imagine it's pretty far along, but that's just my 2 cents. Hopefully we see an official revelation very soon. Alright, lastly, I do want to note that Night School Studio is going to soon be releasing their next game in Afterparty. That is out on October 29th, and if you guys are unaware, Night School Studio also did Oxenfree, which is a game that I often talk very highly about on this channel whenever it goes on sale. And there's a PlayStation blog post from Sean Cronkel, studio director over at Night School Studio, and he noted, first, the good news, Afterparty is coming out on October 29th on PS4. Bonus, we're also creating a sweet dynamic theme that'll turn your PlayStation 4 dashboard into a demonic pub. Now, this is a game that has a very interesting and captivating presentation style and visual style, so a theme actually looks very great. And he noted a couple of gameplay details. I'll put a link to the PlayStation blog post, so if you want to read it in depth for yourself, you can check that out. But he noted, Afterparty's version of the afterlife draws from all religions, but is firmly rooted in reality. It was a blast developing our own set of rules, deviating from the familiar pitchforks and fire in most interpretations of hell. Our dread people and demons have jobs, families, and argue over the good parking spot like the rest of us, but they also throw death day parties for serial killers. An unpredictably wild night. Whereas our last game, Oxenfree, had a unifying dilemma that the whole cast was trying to overcome, we wanted to make the situations in Afterparty reflect a much larger cast with their own unique problems. Milo and Lola just happened to stumble through those moments on their own journey, and the game is structured to feel more like a binge-worthy streaming TV series filled with an unpredictable cast. You've got drinking, friends in low places, pub games, and all of the designs and story choices gave the foundation to create the weird underworld that is found in Afterparty. And given how interesting of a game Oxenfree was, how narrative-driven it was, and the unique presentation style that game had, I think Night School Studio is developing into a studio that creates some incredibly compelling games. I'm not saying Afterparty is going to be the game of the year, but come October 29th, I do think it's a game that quite a few people are going to be talking about. Much like Oxenfree, where that game had the initial luster attached to it, it died off a little bit. I mean, it's hard for games like that to persist in the long term in terms of global recognition and things like that. But in the case of Afterparty, I do think it's going to be a game that'll be a standout later in October. And that's going to conclude this video. Again, PlayStation is joining forces with the United Nations to combat climate change, and they're introducing new power-saving features in the PlayStation 5. I think that's great, and I think that's going to offer something of quality in the PlayStation 5, even though it's not going to be the standout feature and the feature that's going to be promoted all over various advertising outlets and the huge marketing push come late 2020. It is something that I think Sony is going to talk about quite a bit here and there. Batman is looking to get a new game in a Batman Court of Owls game. That has been seemingly confirmed by Batman writer Scott Snyder, and maybe we'll see a reveal at State of Play again. Last of Us Part 2 is the big game there, but there's going to be other game reveals as a part of that State of Play showcase. And Oxenfree developers in Night School Studio are releasing a brand new game later in October 29th to be exact, in Afterparty. If you want to explore the depths of hell, this is the game for you. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.